All right, welcome back to another episode of Rapid Results with Andrew Weiss. Today we have the guest Luke Duffley, who is turning in also from the East Coast, New Hampshire. For those who don't know Luke, he is an Airbnb manager, property owner, overall amazing dude. He's a fellow ISI, Iron Shepherd's Iron brother, good friend. And I wanted to bring him on today to inspire you to get involved into property management and home ownership and be able to go from there. So Luke, tell us, why do you believe everyone should get into Airbnb property management and home ownership?
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for the intro. It's an honor to be on here. Well, the biggest thing, if you're an owner, say you have a second home, like a vacation home, you have an amazing opportunity if you're in, a beach area or the mountains or anywhere that really has any attractions or is secluded. Anything nowadays, people are starting to make a lot of money. $100,000, $2,000 a year renting out their second homes. And if you're not looking to own and say you don't have a second home that you can rent out, some people actually rent out their first homes. But if you don't have a home and you're renting, there's another thing people do called rental arbitrage. So that's not really for everybody, and it can be very risky because you got to work with owners and you got to work with other landlords who don't really understand the rental business. And me myself, I'm not in that business. I'm thinking about it. If one of my tenants move out, I'm thinking about doing that kind of arbitrage where I'm paying myself the rent and then making money on Airbnb another way, so renting it out. So there's a lot of opportunities there, but rental arbitrage is a great way to get into like the management stuff. But you could also start doing management for a company or other people, and there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of places to make money.
Yeah, I love that. And for those who are listening in, Luke is currently 21 years old, but he's had his own house for a year plus. And so, Luke, to help inspire our audience, tell us what's been your journey to being able to own a house at 20 years old.
Yeah, almost coming up on a year soon, actually. But it was more of a vision in high school. My dad, he has this house that I grew up in, and we later moved out when he went and built our own house. That was a three family, and he said, you could possibly buy this someday if you work hard enough. And if you wanted, this, he said, I'd sell it to you. And, as a kid, I don't really take it seriously, or you don't really understand what it takes to buy a house. And what happened was, graduated high school in 2019, and I started playing basketball for Great Bay and Portsmouth, New Hampshire. We played a lot of D3, mid community college D3s, and I was having a good time with them, but I knew my heart wasn't really set on basketball long term. So when COVID hit, it was a great excuse for me to start working full time, and I started reselling. Towards the end of high school, I was one of those kids who used to sell candy out of his backpack and stuff. So
Yes.
I had a lot of salesmanship growing up from my dad. Just he used to do flea markets and stuff, so I really learned how to buy something low, sell it high, research stuff. So I got big into that during college, and when COVID hit, I was reselling full time. I was making $1,000, $2,000 certain weeks selling sports cards and other sports memorabilia and video games and whatever I could get my hands on. So once I did that, I was also working full time for my dad, who is also a concrete specialist mason. He does parking garages, sidewalks for Elliott Hospital. It's I was going to say hotels, but hospitals and other big commercial properties. So learning from a young age to work with my hands and clean stuff and grind, hammer, chip out concrete and throw the concrete in the truck. So I've learned how to, drive, almost 20,000 pound vehicles and stuff like that. So
Wow.
I have a lot of experience in the construction side with my dad being that contractor and just a jack of all trades. So um, what I did was just really try and learn as much as possible from him, and then finally I had made enough money, around 50,000, within 3 years of working part time and selling, and all this stuff from 2018 to 2021 was kind of where I had this just a lot of work and a lot of basketball, and that was my main focus. So I started asking around friends and banks, like, oh, could I get a loan? I have a lot of money in the bank. Can I get a loan? And I couldn't get a loan from my local bank. I had all that money in, and then I couldn't get a loan from Citizens Bank, but a guy there recommended me a loan officer who, she does a lot of New Hampshire and Massachusetts, I believe, and she's awesome. And she helped me within, I think, 4 or 5 months. We ended up securing the house. There was a lot of ups and downs because being so young, I didn't have the W-2 history and stuff. So my parents and I had to really kind of figure stuff out on how to get the loan. And but once it got pre-approved, we got it all finished up, and I bought the house August of 2021, and I turned 2021 on September 4th, so it was like right before my 21st birthday. But to be honest, I should have bought it back in July and June, but we had so many issues with the underwriting that got pushed at that time. But I still am happy I bought a house before I could drink. That was the biggest goal of mine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's huge. That's perfect timing too. And I love what you said too. That basically, your father offered you a challenge, an opportunity that said, "Hey, if you can work your butt off for 2 years straight, 3 years straight, we can get you a house." And I love that's the kind of incentive that he was able to offer. Are you usually a guy who, like, how do you know? We're in a land of opportunities all the time. Like, how would you know that I want to save up to buy a house versus I want to save up to do X or Y or Z kind of thing? Like, why was that house one of the main motivators for you to work hard and save money?
Yeah, I would say, for me, it wasn't just the house. I've had a lot of opportunities doing the resale for other people and stuff like that, and I've had I've had family friends, like, once you start doing stuff like resale, people are like, oh, can you clear out my garage and stuff, and you're just, no, I that's not going to make me enough money. So
Yeah.
I've always been lucky with the opportunity, but the fact my dad had the house still, and his father had bought it for his my dad's grandparents to live in. It was a big motivator for me because I want it to be kind of like my spot here in New Hampshire. So Manchester, we're in the heart of the city, and it's there's a lot of memories here. And I'm right near my old high school, um, and just it's a great spot to be. But yeah, the motivation part is, it was huge for me. Like I said, it's a family fairly heirloom, and I wanted it so bad that I I kind of just did it. It's hard to say exactly what happened, but yeah.
No, I love it. That's awesome. And tell us about. I know you said you struggle with the underwriting process. As you work, making $50,000 plus in 3 years is amazing at 19, 20, 18 years old. That's pretty good. Is there anything you wish you had learned earlier to become a house owner even earlier?
Yeah, I would say it actually flipped that in terms of like what got me to that point was the savings and being frugal. Like I have friends, of course, right? But I didn't go out a lot with them. When friends would go to parties or whatever, I kind of just kept working. Like I had nights where I was reselling in college where I'd stay up to 2, 3 a.m. posting sports cards and stuff like that because I had gotten an opportunity to sell someone's collection for them. So it was a huge thing to do because you have lots of cards that are worth $500, sold 1,000 Jordan cards for $900 during the peak of the sports card industry. It's like
Wow.
if I didn't take that time then to sell it, it would be worth 500 now, which is crazy, right? Or
Yeah.
XYZ, right? So um, it's something I would say I wish I did more though. Is you can always say you wish you worked more, but then would your mental health be where it is now, right? Because I needed those breaks from those 2-3 a.m. nights. So I would say for the biggest thing for me is I'm always really hard on myself. So I just need tell myself to kind of cool down, and not be so worried about certain things. And something else would be just the fact that I'd written it down. Just um, being able to just not worry about stuff that won't matter, right? In high school, right, you'd say, oh, this gossip, right, is somebody like someone. Well, it's not going to matter in 10 years. I have friends now that I bought the house, you hit me up and say, oh, let's go get a beer or whatever. It's like, yeah, I don't care what happened back then in high school. I just want to see people again and hope they're doing well. So that's the biggest thing for me is kind of forgetting the past, and or what's happening now won't matter later. If it's so petty, right? For the most part, that's what it's mostly, that type of petty stuff. But
So,
yeah.
so things you wish you knew earlier is just like the fact that cards can rise in value over time. So you would have held on to some of those cards longer. Um,
Mhm.
and I guess maybe I mean, it sounds like you already did a bunch of research on buying and reselling cards and stuff like that. Like, do you wish you would have done more, or brought on a mentor, or like invested in a program to help you with card reselling, or anything else down those avenues?
Yeah, I would say the fact of I would have gotten a couple cards graded. The fact that PSA is still on backlog from 2 years ago. I think people have stuff that's been sitting in PSA for over a year, um,
What's
and
PSA?
PSA is a grading company. They grade
Hmm.
sports cards and any type of cards really. And I had a couple Kobe rookie cards that I sold, and I probably should have kept them, but I still got $300-400 for them, so it wasn't a lose, but at the same time they would be worth probably in the $1,000 range. So
Jeez.
it really depends on if they graded eight or probably nines, and because you got to invest $20 to $30 per card usually, and they like bulk. So if you send them, in that, but they've kind of changed their pricing now. I think they do a lot based off. I haven't been in the card market for 2 years now, but um, they base a lot of stuff off how much the card is worth, like how much they'll make you pay. So it's a lot of stuff I didn't really want to get into, and I was more trying to move product.
No, I
So,
love that. Yeah,
um,
like you saw that motivation, momentum to save up and get the house. Um, and obviously, we live in America, and obviously there's $50,000 houses and there's $50 million houses. What would you say to someone that's like, hey, I just want to own a property, even if it's $50,000, I want it to count. Like, what would you say to someone like that?
yeah, I would say the biggest thing for me is, I bought it from my parents. I still paid, almost retail of what the house was worth. So, um, and he had promised to me at a lower price anyways, and it ended up being more than what he promised because of the market. So it's
Sure.
it
Tough
was,
love.
yeah, but it was fair, so I can't complain. So but for me it's more the fact of I think connections are so important, like meeting new people, and you never know what type of off market sales are happening, right? So a lot of people, especially, will go to, like, they'll find that rundown house and go knock on that door and say, hey, I'd like to buy your house cash, no inspection, whatever, right? And certain people do that and buy and flip and stuff. But if you want to buy a house, I would most likely try and find older people, or someone that someone that is trying to move, and try and just talk to people. I wouldn't hint at the fact you want to buy their house, but at least know like what their motive is, what they're going through, and say, well, yeah, if you ever want to sell this, I'm more than welcome. I've done that with cars and stuff, but haven't had the chance to buy a car yet from someone. But I've put that note in their head so that someday they might call me up and say, hey, I want to sell this car, whatever, right? So, and I've done the same thing with resale too. I'll say, I told a friend, I was like, I went over his house and he was like cleaning out his closet, and I saw all these Legos. I'm like, dude, these Legos are worth like $1,000. And he said, no way, really? And he had all the sets, still in little baggies. And later on, he went and ended up selling those sets and made, I think, $1,800 from all the Legos.
Dang.
And I was like, dude, I told you. And I did not get a commission. But, doing stuff like that, well, if you just try and help people, usually it'll come back to you. Like, your motive shouldn't be, it's for me, but I think being very selfless to people can lead to a lot of opportunities. And I've seen that in my life, just being a servant to people and trying to help people and not take advantage of them has led to those opportunities.
I love that. Yeah, just talking about the importance of building relationships. Like anyone can build a house or a car, but if you can build a relationship with someone, like you might be able to help them, like get rid of that car or house faster, or they might be able to help you by giving you a better deal or something. And so, a really awesome point. And that does kind of lead me to my next question too: is can you ever be too young to be a property owner? Like, let's say you start running a lemonade stand at 6 years old, and you save up for 6 years, and 12 years old, you somehow have $50,000 of lemonade sales. Like, can you use that for a down payment at a house at 12 years old?
I would say that's really hard because from a technically, no, you're not. People, inherit stuff, but I don't know about buying. The fact that for me, it wasn't the fact I was too young. It's just the fact that the bank didn't see I had enough, W-2 history. So yes, if I had a lemonade stand and grossed 50,000, they'd be wanting the receipts of every single lemonade sale. But I don't know if I can provide that. And that was kind of the issue with me with the resale was I was doing all the resale, and whether I was selling on Facebook or selling online, you don't really have the receipts. Now that with the new tax laws, they're now implementing tax returns for online sales. So, but during my time, there was none of that, so I didn't have to claim it. So
interesting. Okay,
but now everything is now you have to claim everything you make online over $500. So, but for people saying too young, I think it really matters on if someone's helping you manage or you have a mentor that you're with that is telling you what you should do. And that's the thing, right? Is everything I've learned from my parents or whoever, it's like, is they're telling me what they did wrong, and I'm not trying to do the same thing. So I'm just trying to learn as much as possible. Well, what did you do wrong, and what did you do right? So if I can implement those same tactics or strategies or systems, then I can improve drastically more than anybody else. So I think if you have that mentor at a young age, that's teaching you how to sell or how to make lemonade, and or then and if you have someone that is a realtor, it's like you could just be under their wing and try and learn as much as possible. So it's funny because of the TikTok stuff I've seen, kids my age or are becoming realtors and becoming some of the best realtors in their, at their firm or whatever realtor group is called. It's like, well, maybe they have someone that's teaching them and telling them, well, you should be doing this and not that. And, yeah, so there's just a lot of opportunity as a young person to really grow and not make the same mistakes as other people is the biggest thing for me. So technically, yes, you can buy a house at 18 or younger, whatever, 10 if you're selling the lemonade.
That's interesting. No, that's good to know because I know yeah, as long as you have the capital and the proof of income and you have a good relationship with the banker who will do underwriting for you, that sounds like it's all it takes. So that's good to know. 21st century. Um, and so speaking of property ownership, let's go into Airbnb a little bit more. So let's say you want to find a new Airbnb property to own and make money from today, starting from scratch. How would you go about it?
So I'll just say where we're invested right now. We're invested in middle Southwest Florida by Fort Myers and Punta Gorda. So how we got to that neck of the woods, you could say, from New Hampshire is the fact that we had a lot of family that are moved down to Florida, or people have condos, vacation area. So it's just a no-brainer to buy something down there. And how we go about it usually is we have a 1031 exchange, which my parents own a couple rental properties. So what we've done in the past is sell those properties and buy another property down in Florida or Gulf Shores. So for us, the first two we bought was more for my parents' retirement and kind of start a base down there. So we bought a house with a huge garage that can fit an RV, or two RVs if we wanted, and it's more the fact that we can store all our work supplies down there. My dad and I have done multiple 28-hour trips down to Florida and Alabama. We've driven straight down there. He's more determined than me. That's the reason why I'm at where I am. It's just the fact he's been able to push me. So setting up that base down there, we then decided to move to Gulf Shores, and that's because that was a B minus, B plus market now. It was more of a B minus because of the rundownness of the past hurricanes had really hit those back in, I think, 2018. So there was a lot of rebuild, and during COVID, really stunted the rebuild process. So people started really capitalizing on the rents down there. So we were lucky enough to secure a beach house with one of our 1031 exchanges. We bought one right on the beach, and we were able to make a little over $100,000 in, I think, less than 6 months. So
wow,
that was this huge summer bookings because of COVID, and because the fact people were trying to escape, from everything. So we're really lucky to get those rents, and we are now buying two more, one in Fort Morgan. Well, the one we have in Gulf Shores is technically Fort Morgan, but the other one we're buying is in Gulf Shores. So we have now three in Gulf Shores, and the biggest thing for us was, why Gulf Shores, why Florida? Because two things: we used this software called AirDNA, and AirDNA kind of shows you the average rents in the area. Like I said, Gulf Shores was a B plus market. I think they're slowly rising because of the fact that people are buying down there and renovating and really improving the houses. Now that people can really pick up on the development of the area has really improved. So there's a lot of building going on, a lot of construction. And the fact is, it's just a huge vacation market. 100 days of summer is where you're going to make your most money. And during the off season, there's still softball tournaments. We just had a booking yesterday. Someone's coming down for a softball tournament with their kids. So, we just onboarded a cottage. Well, it's a house, but it's called the Cozy Cottage. And, we have 4 guests. It's a smaller one. And we're still getting a little over $200 a night right now. And, our mortgage is only $2,000. So if we can get, $1,000, $2,000 a week, it'll be, it's going to be a very profitable, small little place. So, the big thing, like I said, is using AirDNA and then looking at different areas to invest in. So, a lot of people there's a lot of saturated markets, but there's still people that make a lot of money. The issue now is your buying price more than what you're going to make, right? People are making two, three, $400,000 a year in these very saturated markets like Miami and um, you know Gatlinburg, Tennessee, the Smokies, Big Bear, California. Um, people There's just a lot of areas that people are getting $1,000, $2,000 a night if you have a cabin that sleeps 20, or houses that sleep you know 10 to 15, and it's in Miami, right, or whatever. So um, whatever you're looking at is more the fact of, is the purchase price and the rents, are they going to equal out, and are you actually going to turn a profit? So um, don't I just wouldn't go out and buy the biggest house and ask the most money, because you could be in the wrong area. So there's a lot of variables to it, but I can go a little bit more in depth if you want me to.
Well, yeah. So I know. So I like what you said. So I said, hey, how do you find a house today? You're like, well, sounds like you said you ask family, ask friends. Like, do they have a house that they want to rent a room out in, or do they have an extra house that they want to be able to share profits with you on? But I know, yeah, the biggest resistance to getting involved with Airbnb is like, well, I don't want to share my home with someone, or I need that consistency of a monthly rent paying person to be there consistently. So how do you help people overcome those objections of wanting consistency or being okay opening up a home to a stranger?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing for Airbnb is you have to clear out all personal items. Of course, when you're renting, is you got to have it locked away in an owner's closet. I wouldn't want to be looking at someone's family photos while I'm at their house, but I think it's more for safety and everything else. But the biggest thing is, if you want to say your primary home, right? If you want to rent out your primary home, I don't really know the tax stuff with that, because we're renting out actual properties, not our second homes or whatever. So they're rental properties to us. They're not you know a second home. So with primary homes, it'd be more the fact, if you're in an area like just outside of Nashville, Tennessee, and you can sleep 8 to 12 people, you're looking at $400 to $500 a night. You know, you're looking at a lot of money in certain areas, and even smaller houses will rent out for more. I don't really know the areas, but just having a pool or just having certain amenities like a hot tub and stuff can be really, really helpful. And or views pay good money too. So us being on the beach, helped us get, if we weren't on the beach and we were one house back, probably would have made half as much as we did. But just being, 500 feet closer to the beach, and you have that view of the ocean, just waking up and stepping right out to that is priceless. But we put a price on it. But in terms of everyone else behind us, they can't advertise that. So being able to, you know, find the little things in your house that could, add more value to your property is key to really, if you really want to start hosting, is find out what is popular around your area. You really want to time, if you wanted to rent out, in I guess let's say like Fort Myers, Florida, right, where we're at. So if you wanted to capitalize, say if you live down there, you'd be like, well, the baseball, even though the MLB stuff is kind of on hold right now, they have spring training down there, and people we've had baseball players rent our house, and it's like, well, they're not paying for it, so if we increase the price, $100, maybe we'll still get a rental down there because they need housing,
Yeah.
and the hotels are going to be full, and everything else if you got 20 teams down there. So it's more the fact of timing certain events. I know people in Louisville, or in Kentucky, that during the Derby they were making $15,000 a night, which is
Wow.
insane. Yeah, 15,000 a night, which is I couldn't. He's this guy named Eric in our mastermind group is insane. He's made some really good money, and that's another big thing for people that want to get into this is you need to start joining Facebook groups. Really, like I said, finding a mentor is huge. So I have someone training me in OwnerRes right now, which is our management software that we just started using, and it's very crucial to start using a software when you start getting 2, 3, 4 properties, five. So I'm at four, and we're gonna unload a fifth, and I've still learning how to this new software and how to send automatic messages and stuff, and create a rental agreement and have things send out for me, and it's a good learning curve, and I'm happy to take on this challenge, and that's the biggest, probably the biggest misconception of Airbnb or any renting out your house is, oh, it's going to be easy. Like, we just think, oh, it's passive income. It's far from it. That's why I said it's a lot easier to have someone manage something for you than try and do all the work. So there's really a lot that goes into this business, but there's a lot of people that try and sell a easy $100 program or whatever, right? So
Yeah.
you got to be careful. That's why the free groups on Facebook called like Build Short Term Wealth University is great. This guy Bill Faith is probably one of the best in the short term rental market right now, and I think that's Faith with an AETH, Faith.
Oh, okay.
You gotta look it up. Yeah, it's not faith as in faith. It's faith in. I can find it for you, but
yeah, Facebook group called Build Short Term Wealth.
Yeah.
Okay. And so going back to the objections, though, like what do you say to someone who, like, that you think they have a perfect property on a beach, they only use it like I don't know, 3 months out of the year, you're confident you can rent it out the other months of the year? How do you tell them, like, hey, I think it's worth renting out your place, or it's worth even though it's not if you did want to rent it out, it's worth having different people come through and rent it out? Like, how do you convince that person to agree to do an Airbnb deal with you?
Yeah, that's one thing that I need to start working on, is doing that, right? Finding out how to do that. But one of the things that I've heard people how they propose is, I think the fact, if you just tell people like I did with my friend, like, hey, you could probably make $100,000 renting this out for 6 months. You just tell someone that, they would be like, whoa, really? Like, my mortgage is $100,000 or whatever, right? Or yeah, so it's I think once you start putting numbers in front of people and just say like, hey, I can do all this for X amount of money or whatever, and you're not going to have to worry about anything, then people would be really, really interested if they want to make that extra money. But like I said, I've talked to a friend about it, because like he has a house in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, less than 5 minute walk to the beach, Fort Lauderdale by the sea. He's on the canal, and they've got a nice 4-bedroom house, and probably rent over $1,000 a night right now. And
Wow.
I was telling him that, and his mom's very discouraging, like, oh, but this is our family house, blah blah blah. And it's like, well, like, if you ever wanted to, you just let me know. I'd more than happy help you guys out and do that. But yeah, it's a big thing of it really depends on who you're trying to target. Are you trying to target someone that's retired and they don't care, or do they want to make the extra money? And some people are more savvy, some people are more kind of over it at certain ages. But I think anybody that has any that you can talk money with and isn't like very frugal or whatever, if they're willing to take a risk, because of course anything's a risk. Like, your first renter could destroy the house and burn it down. Not saying it hasn't happened, but
Yeah.
but I'm very confident myself now that I've dealt with bad guests, that I know what people entail, and I call every guest. I'm gonna, I tell someone that this is how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna have. I'm not going to tell them I'm going to send automatic messaging, but I send messaging to guests. The biggest thing for me, I know we're going to hit on this later probably, is like what's one of the most important thing is probably a cleaner. Your cleaner is almost as important as you are, because them having a certain standard for your house is crucial, and especially if they can be a bigger part to your system, like if they can do a concierge service, or have a go get like a gift basket for you, or can be on call to fix a small issue, can be amazing, because you if I'm hosting from New Hampshire and you're in Florida, like who am I going to call, right? So we're very fortunate to have amazing cleaners, and having friends down in Florida that can help fix issues, or but we've had to fly down there and fix stuff ourselves before, so we're not perfect, and it's been a great 2 years learning this business and trying to really grow. So yeah, it's there's a lot of variables that go into it. Like I think just being confident and telling someone like I will make you this much, or just showing them the market and saying, look on AirDNA, these people are getting $500 a night or $300 a night, and they don't even have a pool, and you have a heated pool or whatever, right? It's just saying stuff like that, and because the big thing is then you're able to, well, maybe they're getting $500 a night and they do have a heated pool. Well, well, then we need to be at 499, or we can be a little higher because ours is more luxurious, or we have better beds and better amenities. And once you get people rented, and we just had someone book today, and she was like, well, you're a little far away from the area, but your reviews are great, so I'm going to book with you guys, because anything else closer could be more expensive, or is just not as great, and that's a big thing. Like I said, our cleaning, our reviews, we've had a lot of great, like, this place was clean, this place was spotless, or whatever, right? So having that type of right off the bat has really helped us. Probably two or three other people say the same thing, and we've had return guests. So I just think confidence is key, and getting someone that can help clean or do the cleaning for you, and having a list of on-call people, plumber, electrician, this, that, whatever, is a must-have. You can't just take some photos of your house and post it on Airbnb and say, well, we're ready to go. That's some people have done that, and they've made probably okay amount of money. I don't really hear much about those people, but that they're not maximizing their business, and that's the goal of this, we're here to make the most money possible. So
Yeah, and I know you have some good bad tenant stories. Like looking back at those, and advising other people, like how do you go about dealing with quote unquote bad tenants as a Airbnb manager, property manager?
So it's really situational how you deal with people, because the number one thing, if you're renting on Airbnb or Vrbo, is always message on the platform if there's an issue. If there's an issue that arises and the guest calls you and they say, hey, this pipe's leaking, right? Well, or I clogged the toilet. I wouldn't, like, and it's overflowing. Like, I would have them send a picture of that into Airbnb, of that photo. And so if something's their fault, then I'll be able to, and like, say I have a plumber go over there and fix it. Well, he just charged me $300 to go and clog the toilet, because 150 to call him, even have him pick up the phone, and another 150 to go over there per hour, which he probably fixed it in 5 minutes. So if I get an invoice and oh well, the guest kid stuck a toy down the toilet, and of course, like, they admit it, and I say on the app like, "Hey, my plumber found this," and they're like, "Oh, well, my kid put that down there." Well, sometimes the guest will pay for it, and sometimes the guest won't pay. You can have Airbnb pay. We've had the guest pay for issues, and we've had Airbnb pay for issues. So, like I said, it can be very situational. But what I've learned from dealing with bad guests or tenants is um, it is important. If it's clearly a party group or whatever, you need to go through Airbnb to get rid of them or whatever. It's crucial. If it's someone, uh, someone's not happy, then you need to call them and you need to be personable and say, "I'm sorry," but I wouldn't always go for a refund right away. It really depends, like what they're complaining about. Like if we've had a cleaning issue, like we've had small cleaning issues, like like I said, the cleaner's so important. Well, we've had bad cleaners too, and a bad cleaner we had, she the guest, I think, opened up the couch mattress. We had a mattress in the couch, pull out couch, and there was a blood stain on the couch, on the mattress, right? And it's like,
Oh.
well, that it's a small stain. What I'm saying, like something like this big, like I said. So it's like they sent us a picture of it. We're like, you call them, we talk to them. We're so sorry. Well, we're going to refund your cleaning fee because that's unacceptable. We have a standard, blah, blah, blah. And then our cleaner goes over there and cleans it and fixes it. And then she confronted her cleaners because, she has other cleaners working for her. And then she's going to deal with that issue on her own. So, that's how we work as a system, and we work as a team to keep our systems tight. So that doesn't happen again. And we haven't had an issue like that since. But now I know what to do. Oh, well, if that happens again, it's kind of the same thing, right? We're gonna either refund half your cleaning fee or whole cleaning fee. Probably your whole cleaning fee if it's bad. I wouldn't say half, but probably whole, because I think it's the fact that people don't expect that type of service. Like if a lot of people have, I've seen a lot of bad reviews in our area, and they're like, "Well, there was hair in this tub, and there was, we didn't even have paper towels at the house," and they're gonna, give you a 3-star cleaning, rating because you have certain categories, cleanliness. So it's like people will, when they're emotional and stuff, they're gonna make emotional decisions, right? And they're gonna be irrational. So being able to kind of call someone and try and comfort them and say you're sorry and figure out the problem is way more important than just saying, "Oh, I'm sorry," and that's it, right? Texting that. So I think people's expectations aren't the best, so it's always almost under promise over deliver. But we're kind of trying to change our thing to now have that standard of high quality, where before we weren't always the best. Now we're trying to be the best and say, if you don't have this, then your money back, or that, we're going to fix the problem. We're going to send a $50 gift card to a nice restaurant or whatever. So for those types of stuff, it's people are unhappy, then you got to do something. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm sorry." And then we've been fortunate enough not to have a guest try and take advantage of that. Some people in the past have dealt with like scammers. Get here, "Oh, it's disgusting," and they're like, "I cleaned this myself. I did the work. I know this place is clean." People have dealt. And I feel so bad for those people because we've been. I think it's more the fact once you start renting higher, once your rates are higher, you're not going to get a lot of people, fighting you over $500. When it gets to, so it's probably the biggest issue for me in terms of the lower end Airbnb stuff is you kind of get that you get people that just don't care and they're going to treat you like crap and try and take advantage of you or whatever. So the higher end, at this beach house, I had the least issues at the beach house. The one that did 100,000. I had the most issues at the lower end house. The 200, 199, $150 a night house compared to $1,000 a night house. So I think it's but it can be very situational. It's more the fact that, I didn't vet as well as I do now. And, I need people to tell me, why are you coming? Like, we had people just say, oh, I'm coming down to see family. Well, then 12 of the family come to the house and stay at the house when it's a 6-person house. It's like,
Mhm.
well, that's not correct. If I have that in writing on Airbnb, then I have a right to kick you out. If I don't have that in writing and, and you lie to me, and then, well, you're not lying to me, you just do whatever you want, then I'm kind of now saying it's your word against mine, situation. Or look at the cameras and tell me that isn't 5 cars and 1 car's on the grass, situation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, it was interesting learning about different kind of tenants you come in. I like what you said too about it's situational. Do your best to have customer service. Make sure things are listed in the Airbnb app so you can have receipts so that Airbnb can back you up as well as needed. And it's interesting too that the troubles you've had have been with people who pay 150 to $200 a night versus people who pay 500 or 1,000 a night. So that's interesting about that as well. And then another thing too is, I mean, yeah, you currently have some tenants at the house you own and various things like that. How do you make sure to command the respect of them at such a young age?
yeah, I'm really fortunate to have great tenants at this time. I have a lady upstairs above me. I'm in the middle floor, and then a teacher below me. So both of them, middle age. So it's hard being 20 and going to their door and being like, hey, can you move your car or whatever, right? And not trying to sound especially right away when I was still 20 and I had to write up a rent raise or a rental agreement. Especially the rent raise was scary for me because I don't with buying a house, your mortgage is more. My parents, whether they were paying $1,800 a month, I'm now paying 2,500, and now it's 27. Thank you for the taxes, New Hampshire. They just went up.
Hmm.
Um, so they just had the thing in the paper, just like everywhere else. The rents are going higher and higher, and I don't know if it's like that in New York, but actually it is. But
Yeah, it is.
yeah, it's stuff is going higher and higher, and it's hard to justify raising the rent. So I had a tenant. When I first raised the rent, it was scary for me because I especially when I was talking to the teacher, I was very nervous. I was like, I totally botched my kind of like, hey, I'm sorry, here's a notice that I'm raising the rent, $50, and I could have raised it a lot more, but I just felt that was kind of where I should raise it. And then the floor upstairs, she's very nice, so I had no issues talking to her. But especially the biggest thing for me though is I do have a roommate, and he's 19 and I'm 21, so we're both young guys and both religious, and he's got a serious girlfriend, and he's working full time as a renovator. He renovates bathrooms, kitchens, so he's not in school. He's working full time, and it's kind of hard living with you're living with someone, and it's just hard because for me it's like you do something a certain way, and he's doing something another way, and I kind of want to tell him to do stuff, but at the same time I'm not trying to parent him or landlord him around. It's like I had to write a rental. I had to write a roommate agreement with him, so we both understand. I'm paying for all the utilities and everything, and you're just paying me the rent, to live here. So we're not splitting utilities, but we split food. He buys his own food, and I buy my own food, and sometimes I'll buy stuff together depending on what it is. But for the most part, we have our own glasses and certain cook stuff. So it's very very cool to experience something different. Even though I've been working in Alabama the past couple months in Florida, so I haven't really been home to experience living at home, which is I enjoy living in a house by myself for sure, or with my buddy. So um, yeah, back to like the respect stuff is um, I think just being like personable and still being able to like be serious in certain moments, like say, hey, like I can't have you park here. I need you. You know, yeah, I haven't had like neither of them are loud. It's great. Like no one's making too much noise or playing loud music. If anything, I'm the one watching a movie, you know, and trying to be aware of how loud. Like early on when I didn't have a carpet and stuff and watching a movie, you know, the sound through hardwood in these old 1900 houses. There's not insulation between, you know, the roof and the floor and the ceiling. So it's if you know drop something, you could probably hear it on the first floor. You know, so it's it's more the fact of like I said, still being serious, and then just that they understand that I'm not here and agree. Like I'm not trying to just collect their rent and say you know bye or whatever. Like I still if I see them, I still try and be nice and talk to them. Like I've had good conversations with my third floor tenant. And you know, learning about the first floor, just you know, he's had some issues, you know, like with his back, and just like just trying to engage in conversation has been good for me because I just you know I don't want to come off as a you know a young kid who has no idea what he's doing. You know, I'm constantly you know checking my bills and making sure everything's going smoothly and uh, I'm not, you know, withdrawing too much money from my separate, you know, house account that I run all my bills out of. So it's you know I think they know like this past summer I spent the whole summer painting my house. So you know I was painting the house before I bought it, and they saw me working on the house, and they saw me work on my apartment. You know, it's funny because my tenant on the first floor, I just signed a lease with him. He's just signed a lease. Um, and he came upstairs to sign it, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, this looks so great," you know. And I didn't want to joke with him because I'd work you know late at night till like midnight, so I had to be very careful saying, "Oh, all those late nights paid off," you know. Sorry about the noise, you know. But he was for the most part a good sport about me still working on that house. So I was on the house, so I was very fortunate to uh, be able to work on it almost full time while I was still working, you know, for my parents and go. Yeah, we didn't even talk about this how I completely renovated my whole apartment before I moved in. So
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
yeah,
All your
so
contracting work paid off. Yeah.
yeah, so tiling, painting, you know, epoxy countertops, you know, restaining the woodwork and stuff. And then vinyl flooring. I did all the flooring, so um, it was you know it's a lot of work. I spent you know 3 months straight working on it, and we'll talk about that a little later. But they understand that this is you know this was a family house. This is not a I'm buying this and you know la di la di da. I'm gonna blast music or whatever. So this is a you know this is a thing that I care about and I want to improve it. And you know, rent might go up, you know, for people in the future because I can't control my taxes. You know, I wish I could
Yeah.
say, hey, you know, and that's been the biggest thing for me. And you know, at some point, I'm gonna get a second roommate, and that will help pay, you know, my remaining. I think right now I'm $300 I pay a month in technical rent since the mortgage is paid off, but you know my utilities and
Yeah.
heat is crazy expensive, so it's like 240 a month. I have it. I have a what's it called? I'm on the not the assistance. It's like I pay a flat rate a month.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not paying like $600 during the winter a month because that's how much it is. So they end up breaking it up. So
Right.
you know, it's you know, it's just a thing for me is I really care and I'm trying to be respectful and I'm trying to keep stuff clean and if there's a package outside, I bring it in for them, and I'll like knock on their door and give it to them sometimes.
Oh,
So
nice.
I'm just trying my best, and and they don't have to take out the trash, and they don't have to shovel when we get snow. So
That's a good deal.
it's
Yeah.
a win-win for all of them, really. So, and they're
Yeah.
not paying for heat. That's what I'm saying. So it's like,
There you go. Yeah.
yeah. So like I have future plans to split off the heat and have everything separated so everybody will pay for their own heat. And because as an owner, that's the future for me, is to make that so I'm paying as little as possible and making as much money as possible. So, but right now it's I'm focusing on getting everything else done and clearing out my resale business that I'm wholesaling off right now. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I think that brings us to the end of the interview here, and I want to wrap up here with some final questions. What is the one takeaway you want someone to have when it comes to running and owning Airbnb properties successfully?
I kind of touched on that earlier. Was if you're going to self manage, you need that cleaner. You need that 5-star cleaner. You need that electrician, plumber. You need these people in your back pocket, so when something happens, that you can just call someone and have that issue taken care of as quick as possible. Because that's the biggest thing for people. Is they really like if they say something's broken and you can fix that within that day, they'll be astonished. Like, especially because a lot of Airbnbs, you're renting out on weekends. That's the big time for people. So if something breaks and you're able to get someone there on the weekend, they'll be happy. And but some people are they're hard to please, or like I said, they want to take advantage of you. So even us, we've gotten just one 4-star review so far out of 40. You know, it's just part of life for and I think another takeaway is it's you got to find a mentor. You got to join these groups. You got to start asking questions. And to be honest, sometimes you don't even need to ask the questions. People have asked it for you. I'm in these groups for the past 2 years, and like I said, people are like, "Oh, what is AirDNA? What is Price Labs, or whatever?" It's like, well, if you go and like search that in the search bar in the group, you will see 1,000 messages about it. And Price Labs is our pricing tool that we use to have that predicts those when spring training, when's the Kentucky Derby, if we had one. When those big events are here, the prices will increase $20, $50, whatever. So those are really big for us, is um, using certain pricing tools. And if you do end up start managing, I'd say more than 2 properties, 2 or 3, I would get a management software in, or Airbnb is coming out with certain tools, like they already have automatic messaging out and stuff, but that's what I had set before I started the management software. But it is really insane how well these the software is becoming. Just the fact that I can control the thermostat on my phone. Like I deal with old people all the time, and they're like, "How does this thing work?" Or whatever, and I'm like, "Don't worry, just tell me what you want it. 69, okay, 68, whatever. There it is,
Yeah.
75." I just turn it on my phone, and they're like, "Okay, it's working." I'm like, "Yeah." It's nice to be able to do that. So, but I'd say another thing too is if you do, messaging people is always, I always have a positive attitude, regardless of if they ask me, if it's like, oh, I got a question today. It was like, or, how far away is the beach from the house? And it's like, well, if you look on the map, the house is right here and the beach is over there. It's like, or, that's the Florida house, right? It's a 40, they're like, what's the drive? And I'm like, you can see it there. No, I say, hi, thank you so much, for contacting me. The beach is 34 miles, 50, it's like 30 to 50 minutes, depending on traffic times. And please let me know. And if they're asking about the other house, I'll even include, well, if you don't want to go to the beach, the local harbors here, we got a bird sanctuary and a park here, this and that. And I can always try and add extra to certain stuff if it's applicable to that
Yeah.
area. So it's always having that positive attitude and not just saying, look at the map or whatever, right? You don't want to. It is that customer service. It's that extra positivity. Like I said, just being able to just be selfless and talk to. I've spent time with certain guests just talking on the phone for an hour about random stuff, just so like they feel like they're connecting with someone. And for me,
Yeah.
it is actual connection. I talk a lot. It's nice to be able to just burn some extra calories with someone, and learn about someone else's experiences. So I met a guy that's really great, and he's booked our house in Alabama, our beach house, and he's probably going to book again this year. And he
Yeah.
keeps texting me like, "Hey, I'm going to come back. It was great talking to you." And he's also like an entrepreneur, so we
Oh,
really
perfect.
connected. Yeah, so that's what's cool is he now wants to come back because I called him and talked to him. So
Yeah, I
and
love that. Going above and beyond for your customers and clients. And I know like some people ask us questions that can make us face palm, like, oh, the answer's right in front of
oh
you,
man,
but just having the patience to do that. That's awesome. All right. Well,
yeah.
Luke, thank you so much for providing your insights and advice. How can people get a hold of you if they want to learn more and contact you and ask more?
Yeah, well, my public profile on Instagram is just Luke_Duffley. It's just my name with the underscore. If they want to reach out there, I can give them my number and we can talk. But I don't really I haven't really spent a lot of time on social media recently with all the work. I posted the house on there, so if people are interested to see what I bought, I need to post an update of the of it finished. But I'm still not done. I got the cabinets to paint in the summer, so I got a little bit more work to do before I make my final post of the update. So
No, it's all
stay
good.
tuned. Stay tuned though. Summer 2022, I'll have I'll have the house pictures of my apartment updated. So
Well, we're very excited. Well, thank you again, Luke, for coming on today. Make sure to tune in next week. Decided for as of right now, we're going to do rapid results every Thursday at 3. So this was Luke Duffley, everyone. Thank you again for coming on, and we'll see you all next week.